This is Neverness to Everness, a gacha game that's just released so full of things to do that you might just be driven to insanity trying to comprehend all of it. In NTE, you can fish, play Tetris, steal a car, beat up pedestrians on the sidewalk for looking at you funny, rob people, get sent to the 10th circle of hell, and more. And because of that, I thought it'd be a good idea to make a video that explains the incredible amount of menus you see in front of you right now, in an easier to digest format. In fact, it was an idea so good that I'm getting paid to do it. So thank you Hata Studios for sponsoring this video, and by the end of it, hopefully you'll have learned how to buy out every Subway franchise location in town and run them like the Navy, beat up minimum wage workers on the road, and make your living space not just a house, but a home. My name is Braxophone, but you can call me Brax, and this is my beginner's guide for Neverness to Everness. When jumping into the game for the first time, you're introduced to the city of Cleveland, Ohio, a stunning walkable paradise full of cherry blossoms, trams, and roaming biker gangs trying to shank you for petty cash. You might notice that you can't do literally anything yet, and that's because you need to focus on the first subject of this video, your hunter level, and also your appraisal level, but they go hand in hand. If you're familiar with other gacha games, this system is your account level, and your appraisal level is essentially your world level. If you're unfamiliar with gacha games, what that means is you basically need to level up your hunter level as much as possible, or else you won't be able to go do anything in the game because these levels dictate your progression and how much of the game you're able to access. Now I know what you're thinking, Brax, if I don't get to fishing right now with my hot wife, I'm going to end up on the news. No worries. The best way to level up your hunter level is just to play the game and have fun. It's kind of obvious, but it's the same answer for literally every beginner's guide I've ever put out, so I don't really know what you want from me. The quickest and easiest way to level up your hunter level is to do the main story quest and to do side quests, since there's an overwhelming abundance of those. When you inevitably get level locked for a quest, that's when you can open up your handy exploration guide and kind of follow that like a literal bible, completing those objectives to not only earn XP for your hunter level, but also other useful goodies, currency, goods to level characters, upgrade materials, etc. While you're doing your exploration guide, you can also do anomaly commissions, which are kind of like mini boss battles sitting around the map that give you really good rewards and have XP tied to how difficult they are. And as you level up and play through the game more, you'll be able to take on more difficult anomaly commissions. Your appraisal level, the second level that you see when you press escape, is directly tied to your hunter level, only increasing by 1 once you reach hunter level 10, 20, 30, 40. You get the picture. It's essentially like your world level in other gachas. At certain hunter levels like 20, 40, and 50, you have to complete a quest to continue leveling up. And once you level up, you actually get access to higher tier rewards for spending your stamina, which I'll get into in a moment. As your appraisal level gets higher though, the world will also get more difficult, and once you reach level 3 for appraisal level, you can change which appraisal level you want to explore the world at, meaning that instead of those bikers putting up a fight against you, you can literally atomize them. When you feel like you've done as much as you reasonably can in the exploration guide, you can also get XP by running around the map and finding anomaly zones, where you can spend your daily stamina on upgrade materials and XP. As a beginner, I'd honestly recommend this one on the map up here next to where you first start the game, called Houdini's Magic Stage. It'll give you XP for your hunter level, but also it will grant you some XP for your characters, their weapons, and beetle coins, which will allow you to progress your characters even further. You also have the option to spend double your stamina in an anomaly zone for double the rewards, so if you're just trying to get through your dailies pretty quickly, you can run this 3 times and get double the rewards every time. If you want the easiest way to find things to spend stamina on, go to your exploration guide and go down 2 tabs to the middle one, and you'll be able to find your XP and beetle coins, ability upgrades, arc ascensions, and literally everything else that you can go spend your stamina on. In the console tab of that same menu, you'll find all of the cartridge options, and cartridges are basically just your gear pieces for different characters. I would recommend not farming those until you can get the gold tier ones from using your stamina, since the game will give you a bunch of free lower tier ones that you can use until you do finally hit that level. For now, I just focus on leveling up your characters and their weapons and equipping whatever free gear that you get. And if you ever don't know what you need to upgrade a character, it will be in the character menus. If you click on the missing item that you have, you can actually see a drop down that will take you exactly where you need to go. For more XP, there's also this beautiful lady's house. If you ever see a raven around the city and you collect them, you can bring them to the witch, and she'll give you a ton of rewards, including hunter XP. She'll also grant you a buff every day if you want, and trust me, you want. And just to add this on, don't forget to really look through all of the UI and menus that you can. There are rewards and hidden bonuses everywhere. They're like bugs on the bottom of a log in the woods, and when you lift it up, it's like, wow, look at all those cool bugs. I don't really know where I was going with that. Now, the real 2000 IQ Light Yagami role players that watch my channel might have noticed that there's not 1, but 2 different bars for stamina. That's because this stamina bar is related to the City Tycoon system, which is basically a menu that lets you do all of the stuff that the the main focus of the game actually is. Not to say that the combat or story isn't cool, but I can play Mahjong, legally not Tetris, work for DoorDash, and race sick cars that I stole from some schmuck who just finished paying it off. And I think that's way cooler. Anyways, your City Tycoons panel lets you do all of these fun things for various special rewards, like fawns, which are basically the currency that you spend not on characters in this game. But each time you do any of those activities that I mentioned before, you spend about 5 city stamina points to claim bonus rewards, meaning that you can only collect so many of those rewards every week before the old ball and chain wants you to spend time with the kids and rekindle the relationship. What you really need to focus on in the City Tycoon panel is leveling it up to reap the rewards that you can actually get, which include an incredible amount of hunter level XP. The second thing you need to focus on is your cafe management system, and what's special about these cafes is that they work around the clock in the background, earning you a passive income. And you can use this currency to buy really useful stuff later on in the game, or even spend it on better upgrades for your cafes to earn more money. Starting on this as soon as you possibly can means getting ahead on earning more money and sets you up in the future to unlock better menu items faster. Also, as a tip, don't worry too much about restocking an item for 24 hours because you'll unlock new menu items pretty dang quick. So stocking up for just 4 hours and coming back when you've unlocked a better menu item is a little bit better for your progression, unless you really just feel like letting your cafe work in the background for you as long as possible. It's kind of literally your retirement. The more money you put in as early as you can, the better. Do you think we'll make it to retirement age? Aside from that existential crisis, the City Tycoon panel also allows you to buy property and cars. You can live out your wildest dreams by role-playing as BlackRock Coffee, buying up properties no one will ever get to live in, and artificially raising the price of housing around you. Actually, inside of these properties you can place down anomaly furniture, which can give you really good buffs or items, or buffs and items. For example, there's a piece of furniture that reduces your character's stamina cost when you're climbing, or a piece of furniture that increases your character's crit damage. Keep this furniture stuff in mind because I'm going to mention some of them later that are kind of broken and really useful to start working towards as soon as you can. As for the cars that you buy, those are stored in your garage, free to use and modify as you see fit. Cars cost a lot of money in this game, which is why it's really important to get on your cafe grind as soon as you can. You'll only need to work 80 hours a week at your minimum wage job to be able to afford one. Now, one thing that makes NTE completely unique from the other gacha games on the market is exploration, which seems redundant because every 3D gacha game has exploration to some extent, but this one is different because it's in a city and you can use the vehicles that you accumulate to explore the map a whole lot faster. The moment you buy your first car, I'd honestly recommend taking a moment to go around unlocking all of the Wordheimer towers. They're basically just your standard Ubisoft towers. Walking up to them gets rid of the fog of war on the map and lets you see more points of interest. In between unlocking these towers, also make sure to walk up to as many of these phone booths as you can because they all unlock fast travel spots for you to get around the map a whole lot faster. A lot of the main missions that you do have moments where you need to walk to a place that's like 500 meters away to get to the next objective, so having as many of these as you can unlocked just makes things go by way faster. While you're exploring, you might do a bit of crime, just like a little bit. If you're anything like me, you fat-fingered your mouse button and attacked a bunch of innocent civilians. Regardless, committing crimes will raise your warrant value, and if you keep committing crimes, you'll eventually become wanted. There are ways to get rid of your warrant value, like evading the cops for long enough, or getting a special piece of furniture in one of your properties that exonerates you for some reason. If all of that fails and you're caught while wanted, you'll be sent to prison, where you can then either serve out your sentence normally, pay a fine, or participate in like 4 to 5 different paths to escape from prison. The one you'll probably encounter first is digging through the wall in your prison cell with a spoon. It's kind of just set up that way for you to find it super easy. Like, nice paper covering, guys. Yeah, no one's ever gonna notice this massive hole in the wall. If you escape from prison though, you do have a real punishment, and that is watching this 15-minute unskippable boat cutscene as you return to the mainland. When you do escape, you'll be pleasantly surprised that this is considered a daily event, with items that you can pick up in prison not respawning should you be sent back. The rewards are cool. You get a magazine, some currency, and a cool prison outfit that you can't get anywhere else, but otherwise you can avoid going to prison unless you really feel like it. Now, the past 2 sections of this video were kind of lumped together as one, but that's because for this game I honestly think that this next section, the combat, really isn't all that important compared to how you can explore the world. Don't get me wrong, this combat is fun. It's a 4-character team system. Each character has a basic attack, an ability, and an ultimate. The game encourages you to hot swap characters during combat, which is marked by a little glowing QTE effect around the character portraits while you're fighting. Where the combat gets complicated though is when you delve into character elements and the way each character interacts with their cycle reactions, which is a complementary effect from other characters on the team. I'm not going to get too deep into it because, to be honest, this video would be like an hour long, but what you need to know for now is that you'll want to try and build your team around these cycle reactions with each other. By clicking the solid/damage button in the character menu, you can see which ability abilities interact with each element. The more you can chain together in a single team, the better. Now, of course, since this is a gacha game, nobody wants to look at the default characters when there are incredible personalities that you can pull for. Being honest, there's not a whole lot of characters in the game right now. There's enough to have a good starting variety, don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for some sort of meta character that's going to plow through all mobs and complete the story in 2.2 seconds, a world record pace, that isn't happening. This game just came out, guys. Give it like 2 minutes. Regardless, everyone is decently strong in combat. I'd struggle to find a character that's just outright weak, honestly. If you really want a recommendation for a character that's a good heavy hitter though, Baikong is a great S rank pick, and I am 100% sure I just butchered that name. Admittedly, he's a little hard to understand. His style of attacking revolves around power wards that each have special effects. The TLDR is you just want to stack these wards as fast as you can to deal the most damage. Another amazing character is Chiz, which you meet early on in the story in a required quest where she signs you up for a predatory high interest rate loan. She's a completely free S rank character that the game just throws at you along with her weapon, and they give you all of her copies and her weapon copies. She actually ranks insanely high on the DPS charts, and I would highly recommend using her. The Raid Up character not only is a top tier DPS right now as well, and she's also super adorable, so you can't really go wrong with her if you manage to get her. She also makes exploration significantly easier, but for those of us who get motion sick, maybe she's actually not the best option. For support characters, unfortunately, the Child is a powerful S rank buffer, but if you don't want to play as a newborn, you can use Haniel, who's an A rank with team-wide attack buffs and won't be too difficult to get her max copies. Now, since this game revolves more around the open world exploration and the Tycoon system than the combat though, I think one of the best characters a beginner could invest in is Hathor, whose name I also probably mispronounced. When I mentioned earlier that certain characters have really useful quality of life effects for your cafes and furniture buffs, I was really just talking about Hathor. She's a strong character being an S rank and all, and she does great in combat, but she shines with her abilities for your cafe, and especially a piece of furniture that she exclusively unlocks in one of your properties. This hamster ball is a piece of furniture that allows you to get modules for the upgrades in your console on each character. I'll explain what I just said in a second, but these are incredibly useful upgrade materials, and you can invest in this hamster ball to the point that it's spitting out S rank gear for your characters, all because you decided to pick Hathor. And no, I'm not biased at all. Real-based Brax heads will know that nothing truly beats ignoring me and using whatever characters you think are hot. I mean, whatever characters you like. Also, watching all of my videos on repeat in a playlist, yeah, real-based Brax heads do that too. To encourage your exploration of the world and get you a bit more immersed in these characters that you can bond with, this game has a lot of different skins that you can unlock. Not even just for the characters, but for your glider and the vehicles you purchase as well. I'm sort of just shoving this in here as a fun fact because this is about the best place that I can put it, but you can unlock skins for certain characters by leveling up your bond with them, purchasing them using in-game currency, or by getting arrested and escaping with your prison jumpsuit on. Not every single character has a skin, not to complain about the usual suspects getting skimpy skins, but all I'm going to say is Hada Studios is missing out on the hypothetical trillions from the women and furry markets. Furry husbando Skia gets holster jiggle physics, meanwhile Juyan gets good lord I need that on my fridge. I mentioned the console earlier before I got sidetracked by talking about leggings, but to explain, it's part of the upgrades and gearing that you can do for your characters. It's all a bit complicated, but it's actually one of the coolest parts of the game in my opinion, and a pretty innovative way for a gacha to handle character leveling and gear progression. Your console is like a Game Boy, and you fill it with Tetris pieces, and those Tetris pieces align for you to get whole set bonuses, and honestly, yeah, I just think it's really cool. They have a lot of room to grow with this. Early on in the game, you could just use general stats like attack and stuff on attack scaling characters, and try not to think about it too much. Every single character in late game is probably gonna have a different build, but a good rule of thumb in gacha games is anything that increases the amount of damage that you're doing on characters that scale with that sort of damage is going to be good. Along with your console, which handles upgrading your character's attributes like HP defense and whatever else is on your screen, you have arcs, ascension paths, and esper abilities. The weapons your characters use are all called arcs, and you get these either as rewards from playing through the game, completing anomaly missions, or through pulling on the gacha. Of course, these weapons have rarity values of their own, just like the characters B, A, and S. Higher rarities are majority of the time going to be better weapons. Each of these weapons also comes with their own set of special effects and buffs, generally getting better with higher rarities, and I think the best part of the arc system is that NTE can now have literally any weapon usable in the game. You can have a scythe in one hand and nunchucks in the other, and it totally makes sense. You also collect quite a few arcs as you complete the anomaly side missions, and especially when you pull, so make sure to really look through these to make sure you've got the best ones that you can be using on your current character. Your esper abilities are just the abilities that you use in combat, and this screen here lets you upgrade not only those, but also your somewhat hidden support ability. However these want to be leveled is going to be dependent on the character, but overall you're probably going to be leveling most of them for most characters. In the same vein, a pretty cool thing this game does is let you choose which upgrade you get when you get duplicates of the same characters. It's called Awakening in NTE, and normally in gachas to fully max out a character, you need to pull 6 or 7 of the same character in a row, and slowly slowly unlock each node to upgrade your character. The way NTE does it is instead letting you choose the upgrades that you want the moment you get a dupe. Let's say you pull duplicates of Mint, for example, and you go to your awakening menu. Here you can click and read what each one of these upgrades does, and then choose the one that you want the most, and you can actually change it at any time. This is such an incredible addition to this game, and I only hope that more gacha games decide to do this in the future, because it really gives you so much freedom for leveling your characters. I've talked enough about it throughout the video, and to get the best weapons and characters, you're gonna have to interact with it, so let's talk about the gacha. Looking at any spreadsheet from Reddit makes anything look super complicated, but NTE's gacha is pretty straightforward from the way that I understand things. The gacha in this game is called Scarborough Fair, a Monopoly board type game where each square is an item that you can get once you land on it. Each pull of this gacha allows you to roll a dice. You move that many spaces, and then whatever you land on, you get. I think it's a pretty fun way to visualize pulling. Of course, the rates are still pretty usual gacha rates. S rank characters and weapons are giga rare, A rank less rare, and B rank super common. At first, your odds aren't really super different pull by pull, but there are different mechanisms within the game board that are going to increase your odds of getting an S rank. And probably the most notable part of the NTE gacha is that there is no 50-50 on limited rate up characters, meaning that once you hit an S rank, you are guaranteed to get that specific S rank that you want. Neverness to Everness has one of the most generous launches in 3D gachas, with a ton of free pulls and currency in launch events, and also scattered throughout the game. Completing the main story and some side quests throughout the game will get you more than the amount of pulls that you need to pull any limited character that you want for your first on the account. And for your reference, hard pity is 90 pulls, with soft pity for characters being around 70. All of your pity for characters will carry over to other banners, so if you pull for 80 times on Nonali and you don't get her, and you do another 10 pull on the following character's banner, you will be guaranteed to get that character. The only pity that doesn't carry over from character to character is going to be the glider skins, vehicle skins, and character skin pities, which will remain and persist through reruns of those characters. So if you pulled 53 times to try and get Nonali's skin and you didn't get it, you wouldn't be 53 pulls in for the next character banner skin, but when Nonali returns in reruns, you would be 53 pulls in towards that skin. It's honestly a really simple system that's pretty dang favorable, especially compared to other gacha games. Now, one last thing to mention is that there's another 2 currencies you get when doing pulls in NTE, and those are gotten on both regular uneventful pulls and character duplicates. By going to the mall menu, you can go to the fair exchange and trade in the gold warp pieces and silver lost pieces for extra pulls every single month. While I wouldn't recommend spending your warp pieces on pulls unless you have to, you should definitely try and get the 5 limited pulls every month and spend any extra you have on the monthly 20 arc pulls and 5 standard. These are kind of like a rebate on the pulls that you've done, and I think they're super helpful. I also didn't talk about this other shop earlier, but since we're in the mall, any extra fawns that you have can be spent in the hunter exchange for some goodies. Anyways, hopefully with this simple and definitely not brief guide, you're ready to hop into Neverness to Everness and get ahead while you're playing. The game just recently came out, which means it's just about the best time possible to get into it and start exploring the beautiful wide open city. Even if you're not super into anything like combat, or if you're worried about character building, there's still an incredible amount of stuff to do throughout the beautifully stylized world that isn't going to require you to go look up a meta build for X, Y, and Z character. Thus, my sons and daughters, and thus my children, it is here where I send you off. Get out there and go buy up those Subway sandwich shops so you can liberate those sandwich artists and turn their place of work into a respectable sandwich shop like Jimmy John's or Jersey Mike's. And seriously though, for the quality of ingredients, how is Subway so expensive? They used to have a $5 footlong and now they're like $9 with coupons.